what was New York City like in that time period? Because there was a lot going on there. That was like the crack epidemic, right?
Yes, it was. We just
Probably
had
a lot.
we just had a detective in here about an hour ago before you got here, talking about how he was buying crack and how he was buying undercover narcotics detective, and it's so you're asked to explain something that's inexplicable. Yeah, I mean, how do you explain what it was like? It was like every day was disaster and joy. You were seeing the worst of society, and you found joy and you can't. And this is embarrassing to say. You saw the worst and dealt with the worst people. By that I mean in the throes of their worst despair. And sometimes you found joy and pleasure in it. And that's a sick disposition to take, but not because of anger or resentments, just because when you go to work, you want to enjoy your day. So if this is what the day brings, you find some kind of enjoyment out of it. Whether we use, and we discussed this earlier today, sometimes you'll use, you'll make fun of each other. You know, you'll call each other, hey, slack ass, whatever name you can come up with, you know, hey, bubble nose, you know, like you would make fun of each other to deflect from the depravity in front of you. So if you picture Gaza right now, okay? Let's be honest. You picture Gaza. I worked in an area that you would equate almost, not totally, but almost to the destruction that was going on.
Yeah, I've seen like old videos of New York
Gaza.
City, and you're like, you can't believe it's New York City.
Yeah,
like in the 70s, 80s.
No, it's
in certain neighborhoods for sure.
Yeah. Well, specifics, you know, usually it's the urban ghettos where, you know, whether it's all black, all Spanish, even all Polish, you know, depending upon the neighborhoods, you're gonna get. I don't know if you're gonna get the worst of each, or it's just. Familiarity breeds contempt? I don't know. But what I do know is that I actually loved the people in those communities because they actually were nice to you, even though there was always the prick. There was always that son of a gun.
I think that's the New York love language, though.
Yeah, in some ways it can be. But, you know, it was... Look, I have to laugh because I don't tell people some of these stories because you evoked these with the question. I was involved in a rape arrest, and I can't remember the details right now because I'm getting old. I think it was a young girl in her, like, when I say young, like 7, 8.
Oh, my
God.
Jeez.
Yeah, and her uncle was because he was babysitting, so he ended up raping her. And I ended up involved in the case with the initial arrest, so I carried the case throughout. I was involved with that case from the beginning to end. For the most part, you know, usually the sex crimes takes over. The specialty people take over. But I was involved in the initial investigation and arrest. Boy, I can't. It's so vague, some of this. And it's touching to say this. I got to know the people in the family because I'd be going to hearings for them and whatnot. And Officer Mike, they would call me. Yeah, the kids would call me. And it was in front of a bodega on Riverdale and Hinsdale. Riverdale and Hinsdale, one of the worst blocks in the world.
Wow.
Right next to that was it Hinsdale? I can't. I'm so. It was either Hinsdale or it was on Riverdale. I don't know if it was Hinsdale or the next block. Oh, I'm getting confused. I'm a little blank space here. And it looked like Beirut. It looked like Gaza. Okay.
Because buildings are, just so he knows.
You had a beautiful old structure, and right next door was nothing.
Yeah.
For 2,000 feet, but rubble.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that wasn't her building. Her building was over here. So if I'm on Riverdale, this might not be Hinsdale. I'm thinking Hinsdale is the next block over because Hinsdale, I think, was wrecked. So this block here, I'm going to get it one day. I'm going to remember it. So this block here, she lived. So here's I'm going to show you. Here's the bodega, and here's her block, and here's her building right here. And here she was being, and this was my corner. Like, when I say it was my corner, at this point, I'm probably on the job 3 or 4 years, and I was known on that corner because I hung out in that bodega, the guy did the right thing for us. He made food for us, whatever we wanted. He gave us a good price, nothing, for free. And so I was always, if they put the fire hydrants on to flood the streets so they get cool themselves off, yeah, I wouldn't come by and turn it off on them. You know, I let them run it. Can you put a cap on, maybe? You know, things like that. Or I say, I'm going to be leaving in 5 minutes. You can turn it on when I leave. You know, they were kids trying to survive in the ghetto. You know, you don't want to take everything from them. Or they have the can. You ever see them they put a can over the fire hydrant so that the can can be used as.
Really?
They're brilliant kids. They're just,
Yeah.
They put the can over the fire hydrant
To direct the water.
to direct the water where they want it to go. It's just great.
Yeah.
And I used to say, okay, I need the car washed. So I'd pull the RMP up, the patrol car up, and they'd be like, oh no, we're in trouble. Like, oh, no. Just hit the car with the hydrant. I wanted to be liked. I didn't want them to hate me. So so those are the joyful moments that you get when you're a cop, where you're not involved in the intimacy of arresting somebody or saving someone's life, where you're just interacting with people. You know, I found that very. Well, I don't know if maybe I was still a kid at heart too. You know, I just found it. I don't blame you. Of course, the people upstairs on the 9th floor are going, I can't get any water to my apartment because the hydrant's on and the pressure's so low, the water isn't coming upstairs.
Wow.
So they're mad.
Yeah.
The people that live in the building, they're mad. But the people that are hanging out in front of the building are happy. So, I mean, you could never make everybody happy. And being a cop, you just try to make, you know, you want to make everybody happy if you can. So I chose the kids. I chose the kids. So fuck it.